Qualifying for the Boston Marathon is often seen as the holy grail of marathon running in the amateur area. Now, if you think it's not worth the hype, that's certainly your prerogative, but I can say from experience that having that big carrot to go after will often help people achieve more than they ever thought possible. I know for me personally, having high standards for myself and going after something that will be anything but easy, but will absolutely be worth it, has always been important to me. And I know that I have many athletes who feel the same. Now, I'm not here to get into the nitty gritty of the Boston Marathon cutoff time, how much that's going to be, or try to even speculate at this point, or even talk about specific marathon times because they are different for everyone. Instead, I want to focus on what it actually takes from an athlete to achieve that Boston qualifying standard that they have listed on the website, whatever that's going to be in the future. Because the bottom line is it takes incredibly hard work for most people to qualify for the Boston Marathon, and you're not just going to get there doing the same type of work you've always been doing. So whether you feel like you are on the horizon of this big goal, that it's maybe really close, or you're someone who really wants to qualify someday but feels like it's years away, I'm going to tell you exactly what you need to do to help make that dream a reality. So the first one is you need to start preparing right now. So whether your marathon is months away or even years away at this point, right now is the time to start acting like you are someone who is on the road to qualifying for the Boston Marathon. I think for me, one of my biggest mistakes fell in this area when I was trying to qualify for the very first time. And I had some consistency going into that marathon training block, but really my mindset was it doesn't actually matter until the actual marathon training plan begins. So it wasn't really until those 18 weeks that I really started to focus on what I needed to focus on. And what's really important to understand here is that running is a long game and it all stacks. So what you did last year and what you're doing right now absolutely will make a difference in the coming months and years of when you are actually in that marathon training cycle that you think is going to be the marathon training cycle that gets you that qualifying time. So even if it feels like official marathon training is far off, start thinking and acting like someone who is going after a BQ right now. Number 2 is focus on the 98%. So what do I mean by this? Steve Magnus has this quote that I often consider, and it's when it comes to performance, we tend to obsess over the final 2% and forget about the first 98%. We see this a lot on social media. It's very easy to get caught up in that shiny object or that one thing that looks like it's going to be the absolute must-have for you getting to your goal, when that's absolutely not the reality. It's all of the other things that matter, not that one special looking thing that you just have to have or have to do. So ice baths, compression boots, those are not the things that are going to get someone to achieve a BQ. And on the other hand, maybe having a few bad workouts within the training cycle are not going to be the reason that you don't get the BQ. So instead, what is that 98% that you need to focus on? It's really just the boring stuff that every great coach is going to tell you. You want to be thinking about consistency day after day, building up your volume over time, lots of easy running, little bits of really hard running, getting 80 hours of sleep, fueling well. Those are the needle movers. Number 3 is that the people who are going after those qualifying times, getting those qualifying times, beyond those qualifying times, those people are doing the things that others are not willing to do. So it's not so much that someone has this special thing that's allowing them to qualify for Boston, although I'm not going to sit here and say that some people aren't more predisposed to being able to do that, but really it's the hard work that's going to get you there. And these people are really just willing to do the things that other people aren't willing to do. It's not that those people can't do it, but they don't want to do those things that are going to get them to that particular goal. That's fine. We all get to choose, right? So as you, someone wanting to have this goal, these are kind of some of the things you're going to be thinking about. You're going to bed early on a Friday night. You're saying no to drinks at dinner. You're running at random times to fit in the miles, waking up at ungodly hours to go running where other people think, why wouldn't you want to sleep in on the weekend? But this is actually what you want to do because the goal matters so much to you. Running to the gym, then work out at the gym, then run home from the gym, People at the gym are going to see you running to and running from the gym and thinking that you're crazy. So I always like to say, if someone is calling crazy for going after a big goal, take it as a compliment. You are in relentless pursuit of a goal. The reality is most people that you see day to day are not in that, whether it's running or something otherwise, right? And that's okay, but that just gives them more pause that they are going to look at you with side eye when they see you doing these things that are very far outside the norm. So just keep going and know that you are doing what it takes to help you achieve the goal that matters to you. So number 4, I feel like I'll probably get a little bit of pushback on this, but it comes down to quantity, volume, time on feet, mileage, kilometers that they're putting in week after week, time in the gym. And so you really need to be focusing on quantity over the quality. The quality piece is important. That is a component. I'm going to talk about it in a second. But the big needle mover is that consistency over time and building that volume through that consistency. So when we're talking about the marathon, volume is the biggest predictor of success in that distance. And so you have to have the volume if you want to get the time on the clock that you want to achieve. You can't just be doing the times in the shorter races and using time predictors that say you can run that. You actually have to put in the volume so that you are prepared to run that time that it says that you can do. So what is this volume, you're probably asking? Well, it is different for everyone, but I'm going to say that on the lower end, 40 to 45 miles per week as your peak is probably not going to cut it for the majority of people. There are going to be those select few that can. For most of you watching this video, that's not going to be you. For me, 60 miles plus was the sweet spot. Some people are going to be able to, go more like lower 50s. That works for them. Some people find that having to get up to 70 miles per week is the ticket to Boston. And so you're going to have to kind of test the waters to see what your body can handle. And that is a big part of this too, is it's not just having the volume and the quantity, but it's the right volume and quantity for you that you can recover from. You also have to be able to still get up to that number in a safe way. You can't just jump up to that number all of a sudden and think that you're not going to get hurt. So building safely to that, which is another big reason, going back to what I said before of starting early. When you start early and build that volume early, you're going to have plenty of time to get to that number that you think is going to allow you to have the volume you need to qualify. So number 5 is, I think, one that's often overlooked that really is in that 98%, and that is see fueling and recovery as sacred. So fueling really does fall in the category of recovery. When your nutrition is spot on, when you're fueling well, your body recovers in the right way. And so it's going to take some time for you probably to do the research and to also pay attention to your own body's needs and really lean into that so that you do know that you are fueling as a high achieving marathon runner should be. I mean, as a marathon runner who is running lots of miles and hard efforts in the week as well, you require a lot of fuel. You're going to be eating a lot and you require a lot of sleep. You're going to be sleeping a lot. So one of those things where people are like, you're crazy, you're going to bed early on a Friday night. And that's a sacrifice that you're willing to make, right? Or that's a sacrifice that you're going to have to make so that you get the sleep that you need. So when we're talking about recovery, why is that so important? Because if you're not recovering from what you're asking of your body, then you are not going to make the gains that you want to be making. You're not going to be making the progress that you could be making, and you will literally break. And if you're injured, then you can't keep pursuing your goal. So just know that the recovery aspect, the fueling, this is a huge piece of the puzzle. And the last one that I want to share, that people who are going after those Boston qualifying times and actually getting them, they are willing to get very uncomfortable. And this is when I'm talking about that small percentage, that small piece of the pie where we are doing that hard effort running, which is going to fall into about 15 to 25% of your weekly volume. The rest is falling into the easy category. So if you have a history of giving up on workouts or choosing speed sessions that you know you can handle and aren't going to absolutely push you to your limit, this is something that you are going to need to absolutely work on. Running a Boston qualifying time requires a high level of pain and fatigue, especially when you are getting into that last 10K of a marathon. So when you have trained yourself to be really uncomfortable, get in the pain cave, you're going to be able to withstand what is necessary of you to achieve what you want to achieve. So this is both from a physical standpoint, that you're building up that fatigue resistance that's necessary, that you're getting used to running on those tired legs, that your body is aching, your body is hurting, cardiovascularly it hurts, that everything is saying and you want to stop. And so this leads us to the mental component, which is also a really huge piece. When you get really uncomfortable in training, you get to allow your mind to go through those thoughts of wanting to quit. Suffering through those tough workouts and coming out the other side is going to make you a much more resilient and confident runner. And actually, I think this is one of the biggest reasons that people at this level should hire a coach, is because you get to this point where you can only push yourself so far, that it's much easier if somebody else is providing these really tough workouts for you, and you know that there's meaning behind them when you're doing them and you're not just like questioning your sanity. And also that coach is looking over your shoulder and they are seeing that you're actually doing the workouts prescribed, hitting the paces, or at least trying to hit the paces and putting the effort in. And that is really invaluable, and I can say that from experience. So to wrap up, I want to share one caveat that often goes through my head, and it's that nearly all runners who qualify for Boston work hard, but not everyone who works hard qualifies for Boston. So the reality is that you working hard and doing all the things that you think that you need to do to qualify for Boston is never going to be a guarantee. And I know that can be a really tough pill to swallow, but you're not going to know unless you try. So if this goal is important to you, then I really encourage you to start thinking like someone who is qualifying for the Boston Marathon, that you've already believed that this is within your sights. Because when you start going through the motions and you're not giving up on the goal, you're not giving up on the dream, you're not quitting no matter what, that's putting you in the position to actually make it happen. So if you guys are interested in hearing my personal Boston qualifying story, how I went from a 5-hour marathoner to qualifying for Boston as a mom of 3, I will go ahead and link that video right here.